2 weeks later, the secretary walked into the office holding a check with flustered looks on her face. "Sir," she called. Oscar looked up from the screen of the computer which he was operating on. "You are back so soon?" he asked in surprise. "Yes, sir. The bank refused to honor the check," she answered. "What do you mean by the bank refused to honor the check? Why didn't you return with the 3 million naira I asked you to withdraw?" "The bank told me that the account is now empty." "Empty?" Oscar frowned in confusion. "That's not possible. That's not possible at all. It can't be empty. There is over 45 million naira in that account." "Well, that's what the bank said. They said that someone else who had a signatory had asked that the money be transferred to a foreign account," the secretary explained. "Oh my God. Mildred," Oscar gasped, trying to figure out why his Canadian wife would do such. He swallowed hard in dread. "You can go to your desk." He quickly dismissed the secretary after collecting the check from her. Then he took his phone and went online to check on his foreign bank account. Then he realized that the password has been changed. Desperate and confused, he immediately dialed his Canadian wife's number as he loosened his tie to ease the tension he was feeling. When she finally picked up, he forced a smile, trying to be composed. "Hello, honey." "Oscar." Her voice was hard and unfriendly. "What do you want?" Surprised at her tone, he said, "I will just go straight to the point. Did you change the signatories and the password to our joint account?" "Yes, I did. And why do you ask?" "I just tried to withdraw some money and found out that I do not have access to the account. Why the one in Nigeria is now empty. What's going on?" "Oscar, you have been in Nigeria for the past 9 months. How many times did you call to check up on me and your kids?" 5 times, I think. But I told you that I'm very busy down here. You have to understand that things are tough in Nigeria, Mildred. Things are hard, my foot. I discovered that you have been withdrawing heavily from our account, also sending us bankrupt. You are living a lascivious life over there, aren't you?" she accused. He smiled nervously. "Come on, babe. I am only trying to set up the business I told you about, and it's really financially demanding. I swear that I'm not living a lascivious lifestyle." "You liar! Do you think I am a fool? Last week, an anonymous person sent me your pictures with a Nigerian girl, and I found your HIV results which you hid in your shoebox. How long will you continue to play me for a fool? I love you, and this is how you pay me back after helping you achieve all this your wealth? Well, I am so glad that we have been using a protection for family planning. And so you know, I've gone to the hospital, and thank God I am negative, which means that I'm going to do what I should have done long time ago. I am so abandoning you." "What?" Oscar jolted to his feet. "What do you mean, Mildred?" "It means that I'm divorcing you, Oscar. The divorce papers will be waiting for you when you get back. And just know it is all over. I am having you deported back to Nigeria for good because I'm sick and tired of all your lies." "Come on, Mildred. You can't do this to me. First, you signed me out of our joint account. And next, you want to divorce me? You can't do that. What about my kids? Think about what this will do to them." "What kids?" "Let me ask you, what kids are you talking about? The same ones that you never really cared about? Well, they are going to know that their father is such an irresponsible man and is never coming back. If possible, I will just tell them that you are dead. You were never really there for them, even even when they needed you the most. Mildred, please, don't do this to me. Shutting me out of all the accounts will take me back to square zero. How do you expect me to start all over again? Please, Mildred, I beg you. I am sorry for all I have done. I promise you that if you fix this, I will take the next flight to Canada and I will be the husband and father you always want me to be to you and our kids, Oscar pleaded. Well, I am sorry, Oscar. It is too late now. You should have thought of all this before you went cheating on me in Nigeria and trying to ruin my life with HIV. It is over between us, Oscar. And don't you ever call me again or I will file a harassment report against you to the cops. I will transfer $4,000 into your domiciliary account and I will advise you to take a flight down here so that you can pick up all your things or I will give them all to charity. Goodbye, she said and ended the call. And Oscar, who was devastated, suddenly let his phone drop to the ground from his trembling hand. He placed his hands on his head and slowly slid down the wall to the floor. He was finished. Not only had he lost millions of dollars, but his wife has also divorced him. He was too shocked that all he could do was to stare dumbly. Deciding to seek protection for Oscar's supposed wealth, Ginika and Adani traveled down to see the Dibia, that's the traditional chief priest again, and they found him standing in his shrine with his back turned from them, and he was conversing with his wooden idol. Taking off their shoes, they entered into the shrine with their backs. Ginika, who had brought a goat along with her, held to the rope the goat had been tethered to prevent the reckless breathing animal from dashing into the bush. Aware of their presence, the traditional chief priest turned to look at them, and his face was stern as he narrowed his eyes at Adani. Great one, we have brought this goat to thank you. Thank you very, very much for all the things you have done for us. In fact, we are here to testify that everything is going according to plan. Thanks to Ibudu, the Dibia nodded, but his face remained stern. Is it 60 days yet? He asked. Almost, Adani and her mother chorused. This is the 47th day. We came for something else entirely, not the fortification, Ginika said. The Dibia exhaled pensively, then let his eyes roam the tree branches above before he spoke. Ibudu has told me to cast you two out of his presence. Ginika and Adani exchanged confused looks. Cast us out? Why? Ginika asked, worried and afraid. In your daughter's body feels a disease Ibudu does not want. And behind your other daughter, Nene, is a man interceding on her behalf to a stronger God than Ibudu. Ibudu had decided that all these are too great to take a risk. So he had told me that the both of you should leave and never return, the Dibia stated. Just like that? Please, great one, I am confused. Did we do something wrong? Please tell us what to do for whatever wrong we have done. Is there any way we have offended Ibudu that he has chosen to cast us out just like that? Please help us consult the gods. We are willing to do anything. We are willing to pay any price. Please help us intercede on our behalf, Ginika pleaded, trying to mollify the priest. Ibudu has nothing more to say to you, Ginika, for he is furious with you. He has spoken, and that is it. So leave now. But Ginika wanted to speak when the Dibia pointed outside the shrine. Leave now before he strikes you two dead. Your presence in this shrine is a taboo, yelled the Dibia, making the women flinch. Leave and take your goats along with you. Ibudu had rejected your sacrifice, and calamity shall befall you before you reach home. Calamity? Adane panted in trepidation as she helplessly glanced at her mother, who drew her towards the entrance of the shrine. Quickly, both women rushed out of the shrine, grabbed their slippers and hurried away, pulling the stubborn goats behind them as they boarded a tricycle and started home. Halfway through the journey, a strong gust of wind blew towards them and sand particles flew into Adane's eyes. She blinked several times and started to rub her eyes with her fingers. But when she opened her eyes again, all she saw was darkness. "Mama," she called in fear. "Mama, I can't see." "Eh?" "Oh, Guinea," Ginika asked, puzzled as she turned to look at her daughter's face. "What do you mean by you can't see?" "Come here, let me blow your eyes." After several trials, Adane blinked several times and opened her eyes. Then she let out a desperate cry of despair. "Mama, I still can't see." "That's not possible. Your eyes were okay a few minutes ago," Ginika said, and suddenly gasped as she felt a sharp pain in her womanhood. She bent her body forward as she winced in pain. Adane, who heard her mother, turned her head towards her and asked, "Mama, what's wrong?" Ginika squeezed her eyes now as the pain increased. "I don't know," she managed to say, "but I can feel a very sharp pain in my womanhood." Suddenly, the tricycle driver began to twist his nose as he perceived a foul odor. The rider turned to look over his shoulder at them. "Now wetin una carry when they smell like this?" "Yes, Mama, something smells so bad," Adane said, scrunching up her nose. "Ewo!" Ginika suddenly cried out when she felt a hot liquid gush out of her private part and wet her wrapper, making the odor to worsen. Unable to bear it anymore, the rider quickly parked the tricycle, got down and yelled, "Oya, make una two calm down, abeg. Which kind nonsense be this now? See how my keke dey smell anyhow. Make una two no buy me bad market. Ejo, I use God beg una." He ordered and dragged Adane out, who staggered and regained her stamina since she couldn't see, then tried to feel around her with her hands. Ginika got down too, and the rider quickly moved back. "How much is your money?" she managed to ask, trying to mask how ashamed she was. It was obvious that the smell coming out of her was so bad that she herself couldn't stand it. "You say wetin? I no want your money oh. Na only God know wetin una don do, abi where una don put una head. I need to go do Thanksgiving," the driver said, got into his tricycle and rolled away, leaving them stranded. The goat, however, used this opportunity to escape into the bush. "Mama, what's happening to us?" Adane began to weep. "I have lost my sight and you smell so bad. I am sure that no keke or cab will let us enter his vehicle." "Adane, my daughter, I am confused as you are. Let's just walk home. We will try and find solution to this while we are home." "Okay, Mama," Adane said and held her mother's hand, who began to lead the way home. As they walked past people, Ginika noticed the look of disgust on their faces and how they either covered their noses with their hands or run to the other side of the road. After a long torturous walk in the sun, they finally got home and found Okonkwo sitting with Nene and Mike outside the house talking. Mike had come to ask for Nene's hand in marriage after helping her complete the divorce, and Okonkwo was more than happy to give his consent. When they saw Ginika and Adane, they all stood up. Ginika was crying and Adane looked so hopeless. "Ginika, What is it? Okonkwo asked. Nai, I am finished. I am finished, oh, Ginika wailed as she sat on the ground. The three of them approached them, but they were quickly repulsed from the smell emanating from Ginika. Jesus! Okonkwo exclaimed, pinching his nose together. What's that horrible smell? And where are you two coming from? Nene noticed how Adani was trying to feel her way around, then approached her and took her hand. Adani, what's wrong? Nene, is that you? Adani asked as she began to gulp her sister's body and face. Nene, I can't see. I can't see anything. Okonkwo was shocked and more confused as he glanced at Adani and Ginika. Ginika, what have you done to your daughter? Where are you two just coming from? Nai, Timoma, Biko Baya Alizia, please forgive me, she pleaded. It is the devil. It is the devil, oh. Let me confess what he pushed me to do. I am responsible for all that is happening to Nene. I am the one who made her stink to Oscar so that he will leave her and marry Adani. I am the one, no. We both charmed the undies and lingerines we gave her. We charmed them all so that she can repel him whenever he wants to sleep with her, Ginika wailed. What? Nene gasped and turned to look at Adani in shock. And in shame, Adani lowered her head and cried. Shut up there, you little devil. Like mother, like daughter, Okonkwo suddenly snapped. You think I don't know what you and your mother have been doing all this while behind my back? I am so grateful that God had decided to punish you two for all your evil doings, which is even long overdue. I also know that your mother charmed me into marrying her instead of her cousin, who I truly loved. Well, now that God had decided to disgrace the two of you, you will not come and be a liability to me in my house. Umba! Because the last thing I need now is a wife who stinks like a corpse and a useless blind daughter. Both of you are leaving my house today because I won't share in the curse which you brought upon yourselves. Okonkwo rushed into the house and began to throw Ginika and Adani's bags on the ground while they both kept on begging him, but he didn't stop. By the time he threw the last bag, Eva walked into the compound, surprised at what was going on. When the smell hit her, she quickly covered her nose. Soon, 3 policemen walked in with Benji, whose hand had been handcuffed behind him, and Joyce tagged along, while Nene, who was still confused, quickly approached Eva and hugged her. What's going on? Nene asked as she glanced at the policeman. My darling, the police had caught up with Benji and he confessed that Adani hired him to assault you at the hospital, but he accidentally ended up assaulting Joyce because she looks like you, Eva said. Oh yeah, show us the person where hire you now, one of the policemen said, shoving Benji forward. What's going on? Who is that? Adani asked in fright as she glanced around in confusion. One of the policemen approached and handcuffed her. You are under arrest for the assault of Miss Joyce Ndoka. As Adani started to protest and cry for her mother to rescue her, the policeman added, You have the right to remain silent, for anything you say will be used against you in the court. Biko, please spare my daughter. Biko, she's innocent. Ginika got on her knees and began to plead as the policeman shook her off and hurried away from her far order. As Eva and Joyce left with the policeman, Ginika began to roll on the floor and ask for mercy. while Nene dumbfoundedly stared down at her, tears rolling from her cheeks. How could my mother be this wicked? How could my mother hate me so much because she loves my sister more? Why would my mother ruin my marriage just to replace me with my sister? She wept, and Mike pulled her into his arms, and she wept bitterly against his chest while he comforted her. Nene brought out all the presents Adani and her mother had given to her and burnt them all, and she was instantly freed from their charm. Adani was later bailed by Nene and Mike, and she and her mother had no choice than to move in with Oscar, who was bankrupt. Oscar reported to smoking, drinking, and humanizing, and would always pour out his frustration on Ginika and Adani. Adani often got beaten by him in a helpless state, and there was no one to save her from her daily feasting. Ginika was confined to the boys' quarters because Oscar couldn't stand the smell, and she had to fend for herself. All of Oscar's staff and his driver resigned because he could pay them no more. Mike generously began to freely supply Adani HIV drugs just to help contain the virus. Okonkwo lived happily with his grandson Ikenna and daughter Nene. His life was peaceful once again. Joyce changed for good and started being herself. She also deviated from gossiping. Eva and Nene still remained best of friends. Eva became a better person, stopped sleeping around, and got engaged. She later, however, confessed to Nene that she had anonymously sent Nene's wedding picture with Oscar to his wife abroad after she discovered he was legally married to a Canadian woman abroad. Nene and Mike got married a few months later. They had 2 children and they relocated to Singapore. Ginika suffered more because Adani began to despise her for ruining her life. And most times, she could be heard calling her mother names and cursing her. It was like Kamma coming back on her when she remembered how she slept with the principal, whose wife was blind. Oscar, on the other hand, will always come back home drunk and we often beat her up. Sometimes he comes home with prostitutes. Adani will often hear sounds of them doing nonsense, and we have nothing to say than to endure. Adani and Ginika's morning turned to night, right at the middle of the day. Hey Africantales by Kamma tribe, how are you all doing? For me, I am super excited that this project has ended, and I'm very sure you learned 1 or 2 things. Before I leave today, I have these Bible passages to read. The first one is Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 21. Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. And Proverbs chapter 6, and let's start from verse 14. Perversity is in his heart. He devises evil continually. He sows discord. Now hear what verse 15 said. Therefore, his calamity shall come suddenly. Suddenly, he shall be broken without remedy. That's exactly what happened to Adani and Ginika. Now the scripture says when the calamity comes, it's going to come without remedy. So please, my listeners and my viewers, in case you are still indulging in any act of wickedness, making someone to cry, making someone to question their existence on earth, I indulge you the spirit to desist from it, because like what the scripture says, the consequence always comes without any remedy. Have you liked the story? If you have not, what are you waiting for? Kindly like the story and share it with your loved ones. If you have not subscribed, hey, come on, punch on that subscription button and turn on the notification bell. And you are welcome to Africantales by Kamma Tribe. If you love what I'm doing and you wish to support me, kindly use the link on my description or the link on my bio to buy me coffee. You can as well buy me your super thanks. Now until I bring another series your way, it is a goodbye from here and God bless you.